Welcome into the Bro Force Squad podcast. I'm Brian Banner coming at you fresh out the theater from Paris with our legal counsel Ronnie Cycli, here to review Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. Ronnie, we're fresh out the theater.
A really quick shout out to you, buddy. Happy birthday.
Thank you. It is my birthday. We went to have a few drinks, see the movie.
A few drinks?
We had a few drinks, which is part of the reason why we're actually recording this the next day. It's because we had a few too many drinks, but that's fine.
You can't tell from his voice.
Yeah, that's fine. Sorry, that was a bad choice. I just ate some peanuts. All right, let's get into it. We're going to review Fantastic Beasts 2, Crimes of Grindelwald. We use our 5 criteria. We've got acting, cast, story, plot, best scene, impacts on culture or any lasting impacts you have, and rewatchability. We will have spoilers. We're going to try and keep it spoiler-free for a little while. We will warn you when we move into the spoiler section. So, Ronnie, start us out. What'd you think of the cast of this movie?
So, I think a lot of people felt the same way a couple years ago when we found out it was Johnny Depp who was going to be, in fact, playing Grindelwald and not Colin Farrell, was his name, right? That was a big surprise. I think initially I was really disappointed with that decision. Taking all the personal things in Johnny Depp's life out of it, not to talk about that, just talking about his acting. He's been lately known as what my colleague over here likes to say is Depping it up, right? Like that kind of Johnny Depp we get in these Pirates of the Caribbean movies that he starts doing in other movies.
It's not always a bad thing, but it can be.
It works sometimes, and sometimes it's just now what he does, right? So I didn't want to see that. And I will say this, as much shit as he gets, and I've given it to him, he did great. I really thought he was fantastic. I think at the end, I'm not spoilers yet, but there's a monologue that he delivers, and it's really passionate. It's strong. It was one of the best performances of the movie. The rest of the cast, I mean, Zoe Kravitz, I thought was the bright star out of the whole thing. We got to learn about her character as Lestrange. We can get into that later. And Ezra Miller always does well. And Catherine Waterston, the Tina, she had a lesser role this time around,
which I think was good. I think she really fell into her role and her character very well. I thought you really feel the tension and I don't know if animosity is the right word, but you could feel tension between her and Eddie Redmayne as Newt Scamander.
And big one I want to ask you is, because I was okay with it, what did you think of Jude Law as Dumbledore?
Jude Law fucking destroyed it, dude. Jude Law, I thought was phenomenal. I think what was really important that he did that a lot of people don't. And, I know we're going to get into this a little bit later, comparing this series to and this franchise to the Star Wars franchise. Mm-hmm. But one thing that Einreich did with Solo is he tried to be Harrison Ford. And don't think Jude Law, he did a really good job of not being, what's his name? Michael Gambon. Yeah. He did a very good job of doing Dumbledore his own. And he's able to do that because it's a different era. Yeah. And I thought he just absolutely destroyed it, knocked it out of the park. It was really good. Again, I know you talked about Depp. I think Depp didn't Depp it up. His end monologue was very, very good. Zoe Kravitz, again, she killed it. Ezra Miller, I thought he did much better in this one than he did the first one.
He had more room to play with this time.
And I think he did fine in the first one. So
I always like him in the movies he's in.
Yeah. I didn't like him in Justice League, but aside from that,
that's right.
I think he's fantastic.
I actually liked him in Justice League, funny enough.
One person, because we always have to try and bring a negative in, one person I did not like was Queenie. Not so much her acting. I mean, I didn't like her acting. I thought her thick New York accent was a little...
That was almost as bad as hers.
It wasn't great. But how she was wrote, what they did with her character, I thought was kind of an insult. Mm-hmm. She had a much larger role, which you can't have as big of a role in this one. You've got different players and a completely different storyline. But I think that she wasn't happy with her role, and that really came out on screen.
Yeah, and we won't get into spoilers yet, but she definitely isn't almost the same character.
She's not the same character.
I mean, she acts the same, it looks the same, but like what her decisions, the character's decisions are, just seem. Obviously, we've only known her for one movie before this, so It just came out of left field for her. That was definitely one of the spots I definitely had a problem with the acting. But overall, this movie did have flaws. I loved parts of it. I definitely didn't like parts of it. For its flaws, I thought the cast overall was great.
Yeah, overall, I would definitely give it a B+. I mean, obviously, not everybody knocked it out of the park, but enough people knocked it out of the park for them to win the game. And let's move right on to story and plot. Let's try and start with non-spoilers. Cycly, what did you feel about the progression of this story coming out of the first movie, coming into the second movie? Where are we? What do you think? Non-spoilers at this point. What did you like about it?
I liked it. I thought it was predictable, but in a good way. I'm not to get into the details yet of the story, but I think it puts us in a place that we know where this is heading, right? This is heading towards Dumbledore versus Grindelwald. We know that backstory if you're a fan of the Harry Potter franchise. We know how that goes down. We know the history between Dumbledore and Grindelwald. So we know that. This really movie, Fantastic Beasts, was an intro. This is the true point of this new franchise, not the little critters. That's great. The whole point of this one is Dumbledore and Grindelwald, and we're getting there, albeit maybe slowly. With the idea of having 3 more movies.
Yeah, we don't need 5 movies to tell the story.
You need 1 more. Maybe.
You need 1, maybe 2
at most.
But I also don't think you needed the first one.
Exactly.
The first one, if you watch our movie commentary, I think is a complete jumbled mess. They didn't know what kind of movie they wanted to make. Did they want to make a kids movie or did they want to make a more serious movie for the people that grew up with this world, a la our age, I would say 25 to 35, 40-year-olds that grew up reading these books. The first act of this movie is a jumbled mess that same way. You're all over the place. We don't really know what's going on. You get all these creatures and critters. After that, it fucking picks up. And I know that's an oxymoron. It picks up and calms down. It calms down on all of that, and you really get to some meat and potatoes, some really good stories, some really good character development that is very important and imperative for them to continue this franchise. Again, I don't think we need 3 more movies to tell this story, but I'm not mad about it.
No, they make the mistake of what a lot of franchises do. You think it's really a less is more situation. When you break down like epic movies, like let's take the first Star Wars, let's take A New Hope. It is a simple story. You only have really 3 or 4 set places that the story is. You have a very basic storyline. Then you go to like the newer franchises or Rogue One or what this movie was, the first few episodes or first few minutes in the show. You're jumping around. It's not Rogue One, you're in 7 different planets within 2 minutes. This movie, you are a different place every 2 minutes with different characters you've never seen before. And you just kind of felt that way. What are we doing here? Are we doing a serious movie? Are we doing a dark movie? Are we trying to appease the fans? They got better throughout the movie, but they still have those same internal struggles, I felt.
I would agree. And I think this is a perfect place to go into spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie, you're a sick fuck for listening to us this long anyway. But that's fine. We're about to go into spoilers. Spoilers, you have been warned. This, again, they jump all over the fucking place, but this movie is going to follow world history.
Yeah, which I like.
Which I love. They are really proving and showing that this wizarding world coexists with the real world, which we never got in the original Harry Potter series. And I think that is something that, A, they are capitalizing on, and B, they need to continue to do. Because that's what makes it real, and that's what's really cool about it.
So if you're listening, Banner and I were about 4 seats away from each other during the movie, and
we were freaking out
when they started introducing like some of the historical context, and they showed the Titanic scene, which I'm assuming is Titanic.
It's the fucking Titanic. There's no way it's not the Titanic.
I mean, the timeline works out. This movie takes place in 1927. Titanic was 1912.
Unless you talk to that weird dude after the movie.
Yeah,
that's a whole theater experience we'll get into in Impacts.
Yeah, we need to talk about that girl. Like that was awesome. I love it. Like people might be like, oh, that's just, something silly to write about. Like, why not? Why can't their story interact with our world? Why can't major current events in life have impacted wizards? Like, if you're going to tell me, if I'm going to walk into this world and believe wizards exist, that means there were probably wizards on the Titanic. There were wizards, in World War II and whatever. So I buy it. I don't think that was stupid or corny. I really enjoyed that aspect.
And it goes what we already know about Dumbledore and Grindelwald. It already goes right down that line of the greater good. Which, were you disappointed that they never said the greater good?
They did. Maybe you walked out.
I may have walked out. I had to pee really bad.
Grindelwald did say the greater good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I may have been peeing.
Because you know why? Because I love the movie Hot Fuzz.
Yeah.
And anytime someone says the greater good, I always go the greater good. When he did it yesterday, I said it to myself. He goes the greater good. I go the greater good.
The greater good. Again, it was. I think that's really important. That's probably the coolest thing they've done is this is going to lead up, and now we know the battle between Grindelwald and Dumbledore is going to end at World War II.
Yeah,
there is no doubt in my mind that's going to happen.
That is something we did know though from the books.
It makes sense.
We did know it took place in the 40s.
We knew it. 1945 is when that fight happens, and we know that from reading the books.
Yeah, so I like that they're going to incorporate World War II because there was a lot of fans who assumed, I wonder if Grindelwald had something to do with World War II.
And it all makes sense.
Maybe he manipulates Hitler or gets into this or something like that. He manipulates all the evil in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I think
they're not going to do that, but it would be an interesting take.
All right, we've been avoiding it. Let's get to the elephant in the room.
Oh my God, there's an elephant in the room.
It's a big ass fucking
elephant.
Did
you get this
taking
elephant
it. I know
in
it's
here?
taking a shit everywhere. So Credence is a Dumbledore?
Yeah, what the fuck?
No, I don't buy it.
Okay, let's get into that because there's a couple things I didn't like. A couple things they're just shitting on the original timeline of the Harry Potter books, right? McGonagall being a teacher at Hogwarts in 1927 along with Dumbledore. That makes no sense. She was born in like 1925. Credence being a Dumbledore is probably
it's not even possible.
I mean, the only way it's into consideration, right, is that Albus never knew about him.
Well, and me and Mama Banner have been going on about this all night and into this morning. Dumbledore's mom is dead. We know that. Dumbledore's dad is in Azkaban. Yep. We know that. Aberforth was in Azkaban.
But that was later on.
It also can't be...
That was for having sex with a goat.
Right. But it cannot be an offspring of Aberforth because they say, your brother is who's trying to stop you. Implying Dumbledore is his brother.
Yeah, and he said Dumbledore. Yeah, he gave the name as like a lot... something with an A.
Yeah.
So I was waiting for the second. I thought they're gonna make Credence Aberforth. Like that's what I thought they were about to say. They gave a whole different name, which I don't know which one pisses me off more.
Yeah, I don't think that. I was hoping he was gonna be a Gaunt, personally.
Ooh, that would have been cool.
That's what I want. Now, I'm not thinking. I don't think.
And if you're not a fan of the Harry Potter franchise, a Gaunt is the ancestry of Voldemort.
Yes, which is also a descendant of Salazar Slytherin. I'm not convinced though that he is a Dumbledore. I'm not wondering.
He's manipulating him.
I think Grindelwald is using his greatest talent, which is just like Tom Riddle's greatest talent, manipulate the people around you, and he could just be some fucking dude. You have to think, what makes an obscure stronger? We know the absence of love and the anger. So if you say, hey, this dude wants to stop you, but he's also your brother, and he hates you, who abandoned you, all of these things, that's going to make him stronger. And if he's on your team, that's the dude I want on my side.
I'll totally buy Grindelwald lying, but here's the problem with it. If he lied, that makes sense. That's something Grindelwald would do. The problem is you just pissed off a lot of people. You pissed off a lot of fans, and you pissed off a lot of people who might not come back to the franchise. Now, I mean, not to say Harry Potter franchise. They just might sit this one out. There's plenty of Harry Potter stuff out there. They're not, and that's going to keep growing. Like, they're not abandoning Harry Potter. They might just say, you know what, this is just too much for me. They're shitting on the books. So it's a risk. It's a big risk if he's lying. If he's not lying, then I don't know what the fuck they're trying to do to us. They're really shitting on the books.
I would agree with that wholeheartedly.
I hope he's lying.
I firmly believe he's lying. After a little bit of self-reflection, I really think he has manipulated him and he is not actually a Dumbledore. But who knows? I may be wrong.
I was waiting. I knew I had another big Harry Potter fan watch the movie the day before us, and I knew there was something, and I thought there was a couple twists in there. And then, like Queenie going bad or McGonagall and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, oh, maybe it was that. And then all of a sudden, with 1 second left in the movie, calls him Dumbledore, boom, ends. You're like, what the fuck? Like, literally leaves you walking out the door in silence because you have no idea what to think.
Yeah. One last thing on story plot that I like is they took us back to Hogwarts, which I think all of us were super excited about. I was super afraid they were going to take us to Hogwarts just for the fact that to take us back because we wanted it. And that was one of the big things, I think, with the first Beast that we didn't get was Hogwarts or some sort of school or anything like that. So they took us back. They took us back for a reason. We needed to go. That was a huge plot point in the movie, and you learned a lot from those either flashbacks of going back to Hogwarts or when they actually went to Hogwarts in quote-unquote present time. And I thought they did a really good job of bringing us back there, but incorporating it, still making it a part of the story. I wasn't like, oh, cool, we're there. I was like, I was invested in the story that just happened to take place there.
Yeah. And
I thought that was really cool. Moving right along, best scene. We can kind of zoom through this one pretty good. I think we can both agree. Lots of great scenes. I'll go first. We say it on this show all the time. The first scene doesn't have to be the best, but it's got to set a tone. Geiger's bell, ding, ding, ding. And the first scene of this movie, before we even see the opening credit or this is Crimes of Grindelwald or whatever, we see Grindelwald locked up in New York City and then him escaping. Super dark, super just action-packed, insane, like, holy shit, this is a bad motherfucker. I loved it. They set a tone for the movie. Now, the next 30 minutes of the movie, I was really upset because that's not the movie that they set up for, but they got back to it in the second and the third act especially. So
they still didn't know.
I thought it was a great scene. Choreographed, CGI, everything was great. Not a lot of dialogue, which made it, when they did talk, it was more intense and it meant something. Yep. I really liked it. It set a tone. It got me. I was ready for this movie after that. Cycly, best scene.
Yeah, so I'm going to piggyback off what you finished with the last category on Hogwarts. That was my favorite scene. And there was a lot of scenes in there, so I know I'm not picking a specific scene in Hogwarts, but I just have to go with the whole thing because, I mean, I've been obsessed with Harry Potter since I was 11, and to see it in the way you mentioned, it wasn't just for the fans, like, hey, look, here's Hogwarts again. We actually were there for a reason. We got to see students. We got to see them with Bogarts and doing the...
That was the... I love that. The Bogart scene was almost the exact same quote-unquote Bogart scene that we get in Prisoner of Azkaban. Thought it was very cool because you can only assume that Dumbledore taught Remus Lupin that, and so that's how he was teaching it to his students. I thought that was really cool.
And then I don't know if you noticed, like, if you look in the background through the windows, there were people playing Quidditch.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. You know, it was like, it sounds so corny, but it was like being home. You know, like, that's Hogwarts, man. Like, that's how I got into the franchise, and they didn't fuck it up, like Brian said. Like, they literally were there for a purpose. We got to learn. Zoe Kravitz, Lestrange. I can't remember her first name.
Yeah, I don't know what her name is.
They kept saying Lestrange more than anything. And, you know, we saw her background at Hogwarts. We just saw different students there and different teachers. Seeing the Great Hall again, you know, that kind of stuff. So I was definitely my favorite scene.
Let me ask you this. Did we know that Dumbledore taught Defense Against the Dark Arts prior to this? Okay. Yeah. I don't think I knew that.
He taught Tom Riddle.
Okay. Yeah. For some reason, I thought he was a Transfiguration teacher.
Now I'm questioning. I always thought he was Defense Against the Dark Arts.
I don't know. Either way, it was all great. Let's move right along.
Maybe he was both.
Maybe. He probably did both. He's a master of all crafts. Moving right along, Cycly, impacts on pop culture or lasting impacts that you have.
I don't think this movie did anything extra. I think you've already had the impact on pop culture from what is Harry Potter. You're not gaining fans anymore. Probably not, I'm assuming. You're still going to gain fans who are being introduced to Harry Potter first. There's still kids today that are picking up Harry Potter books, falling in love, and then getting into this. I don't know how many of people out there are getting into Fantastic Beasts and it didn't get into Harry Potter. So there might be a few, maybe people out there who never read the books but watched the movies, but they probably watched the Harry Potter movies first. So impact-wise, I can't say it's too much, but it really doesn't have to do too much. It's not going anywhere, as you said. You know, we either have 3 movies left. We have the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. They're going to remake the movies one day again, I bet. I don't think they would truly have to fuck up to have the impact because they're not going to get too higher than it is now, but you could ruin it.
I think you just hit the nail on the head.
And they didn't.
I think they didn't fuck it up, and that's a big impact.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people...
They tried with that ending, though.
Yeah, they tried with the ending, but bringing Depp in. This movie, I think, was kind of like, and again, we keep going back to the comparison of the Star Wars saga, because I think they both, in their respective generations and respective eras, did the same thing. They brought us to a world that we didn't even nobody even fathomed existed, whether that was space like Star Wars did or the Wizarding World like Harry Potter did. And now they're making more movies capitalizing on its success. The biggest thing you can do is fuck it up. Star Wars has started to do that.
And I feel like this is happening.
Fantastic Beasts, they were well down that road, and I think they are riding the ship.
I hope so.
And I think that's big. I don't think we'll truly know
one more movie
until the next movie, you know, and was that 2021 or 2022, whenever it comes out. So I think that's the biggest impact here is that I liked it. I'm just as excited now as I was about the franchise before, which is,
It's
I'm
like they
ready
live to fight another day.
They live to fight another day. And
it's like my team won the game by 1 point.
Yep. And a win is a win.
A win is a win. We survived.
They didn't lose, and I think that's important. So going right into our last category, cycling rewatchability. Are you going to rewatch this?
100%. I want to rewatch it today.
I was about to say, are we about to go back to the theater and watch it again?
And again, that's not to say because it was so amazing or it was so bad. This is a point to one of the flaws of the movie. There was so much going on you almost can't even comprehend, and not in an intelligent way. They're bouncing around so many times. There was so many things like, okay, I need to watch this again. Is that really what happened there?
Well, and I think a big thing is a lot of the Easter eggs that they do, that they put in to put it in the real world time frame, like the Titanic thing, like the World War II thing. Those are two that are really in your face. Mm-hmm. I want to know, are there others? And pay more closely attention to kind of lesser plot points and pay more attention to what they say, to go, oh, that's an Easter egg for this, and oh, that's that. And you can maybe pick up on things. One thing I didn't pick up on at all was the fact that Credence was carrying around that fucking Phoenix the entire goddamn movie. I never picked up that was a Phoenix.
I didn't know.
They made a comment about how the Phoenix will always go back to the Dumbledore. And I was like, oh, he's carrying around this like half-dead bird. And then all of a sudden at the end, it turns into a Phoenix.
So maybe it's not a lie.
So it may not be a lie. I'm still going to stand by my stance because
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, because I want to hope. But also, could Grindelwald have given him that Phoenix because a Dumbledore gave it to him? I mean, they can easily.
In the past, we know Grindelwald was really close to the Dumbledores. They were obviously in love.
Right. We know all of that, and the whole blood oath thing and all of that. There are more things I think I can pick up on that will give me clues to future movies and where they're going with the franchise that you just can't, because, like you said, it's such a jumbled mess at times. There's so much information at you really fast.
Yep. I'll see it in theater one more time for sure. Then when I buy it on DVD, watch it again. And then probably...
it'll sit on the shelf for a year or two.
It'll sit on the shelf for a year or two. Then rewatch both movies, get anticipated, get excited about the third one. So I'll still be there. I'll still be in line. We'll be seeing it opening day, I'm sure.
Yep. There it is. All right, guys. We have been the Bro 4 Squad podcast. Check us out on our website, bro4squad.com.
Sorry.
That's fine. That's fine. I understand. You had to finish it. I understand. Thank you. Go ahead and give us a like on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at Bro4Squad. Hit that subscribe button here on YouTube or on iTunes, whichever is your listening preference. For our legal counsel, Ronnie Cycli, I'm the mad scientist, Brian Banner. We will catch you guys next time.
I did love that note when they brought that. That was awesome.